Tuesday Drive.
Of course, right across the region today, there were many dawn services taking place. And look, we couldn't have actually asked for a better autumn weather, I have to say. I remember as a kid marching at Bomaderry, it always used to seem to be windy, but not today. Of course, one of the biggest services that takes place in the Shoalhaven is right here in Nowra, where so many people take the opportunity to pause and reflect. And joining me in the studio is Robert Grant, the president of the Nowra RSL sub-ranch. Hello there.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come into our Triple UFM studios.
Oh, not a problem. It's a case of I've gotten all over and done with this morning. I have time. If you asked me this morning, it could be problematic.
And you've been up since the wee hours of the morning too, I dare say.
Oh, yes. It was a 3 o'clock start this morning because we had to set up at Greenwood Point because we do the dawn service out there as well.
Oh, right. Wow.
So, in actual fact, I think we probably got about the same crowd out there this morning. And you're right, it was a gorgeous morning. It was awesome, but we had a great crowd. But yes, we're out there because we had to do the full PA ourselves. Unlike Nowra, where we can get somebody in to do the PA, we do it all ourselves out there, DIY.
So you at the Greenwell Point service.
Yep.
Were you part of the Nowra service as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So what were the numbers like at Nowra today?
Nowra was good. Probably not quite as many as we had last year, but last year was special. And we had a huge Navy contingent and it was the first real comeback after COVID. So it worked really well. But yeah, today it was good, a good crowd, enthusiastic and making noise when they needed to and plenty of atmosphere. It was good.
And tell me about the service that happened in Nowra this morning. Who was there? What was it like? What was the atmosphere like?
Look, it was good. A gorgeous day helps. If you cast your memory back 12 months ago, it was a bit on the miserable side, but today was awesome. We had to be careful of heat this time.
Really?
Yeah, we went through 8 dozen bottles of water, just handing them out and making sure people didn't flake on the sidewalk.
Is that just spectators?
Just spectators.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Just spectators, yeah. We were greatly supported by Albatross. We had a 300-person contingent come from them. And, of course, they provide people for the flags. They also basically the catapult party for both Greenwell Point and us in Nowra. So, yeah, they were awesome. But we had a good number of veterans come along and we always get the community groups, the schools, and we had a lot of people like that. But we had the public around the park at Greenwell Point spilling out onto the road.
That's
and
incredible.
up the hill. So that was awesome. Bit more room where we are in Nowra, but with the big gates there, it still makes for a great spectacle.
What's it like for you as a president to see so many young people still so interested and marching?
Look, it's really good to see. I think if you want to be perfectly honest, about the 90s saw a bit of a downturn and people begin to wonder where are we going with ANZAC Day. It has really picked up. And I think too that just at the moment, you've got a lot of people who are in the Middle East, Afghanistan, well, they're all veterans now because they're leaving the service. So there's your next generation of people we're dealing with. So that's front and centre for family. Dare I suggest that Ukraine at the moment is probably a focus too because that's ever present on the media. So, yeah, I think people are understanding we need to keep this going and the schools are great. We do all the assemblies and the like out and around and they get really enthusiastic, which is good.
108 years on, here we are. What does ANZAC Day mean to you?
Oh, it mean to me, I think from a personal point of view, I've got family members who served in ANZAC, in the actual ANZACs themselves. I had how many greats fathers who served, and he was at Lone Pine, got injured at Lone Pine, and he ended up getting evacuated to Malta, where he lost a leg, but came back and survived for many years back in Australia, so I remember him. Also, on the other side of the family, I've got somebody who was actually killed at ANZAC Cove themselves. But also, as you're probably aware, families, the military runs through the generations. And my son's serving, I served, my brother served, and so it goes. My father did. So it's remembering all their times as well. So that's what's me personally. It's just, what the families put in. For the sub-branch, I think it's just more generally recognition of the service and sacrifice in the community during times of conflict. And there are plenty of connections here, which I suspect we'll get to shortly. And so it just keeps people focused, and that it can be a very personal experience.
What does the RSL sub-branch do? Because I was mentioning to you off air, I mean, I guess for many of us, we think of it just down at the local ex-servos club, where there's the poker machines and, there's a bar, you can get a bite to eat. But, I mean, I'm guessing there's a lot more to it than that.
Look, there is, and there's a lot of history between the RSL clubs and the sub-branches. In Nowra, the club and sub-branch are completely separate. The club used to be part of the sub-branch in about 1960, and that's when it was split. So there is history there. But no, RSL New South Wales is completely separate to the clubs. And the sort of things we do are the welfare issues. So we'll get veterans come to us, and they might need financial help because they're in a bit of a hole. They might need help with DVA. So we have advocates who allow them to, or help them navigate the maze that is DVA. But also we run commemorations. So we ran Dawn Service today and the March in Nowra. But we also do a lot of fundraising. And look, I'd have to really thank the community because they've been awesome in our badge selling leading up to today and coming out today. But we've got a scholarship we run with for a child of a veteran. We've got yoga for veterans, remedial if you like, that we sponsor. We help sporting events and sponsor those. So it really is providing a service point. And we're also the front end for the RSL Veteran Services, which essentially in Nowra is run out of the VWC. So the Nowra VWC is also part of RSL New South Wales. They provide the heavy lifting, if you like, but we're the local face-to-face. And we work very closely with Jason Grimes, who's the manager out at the VWC, and we refer cases to each other all the time. There have been occasions when they couldn't get help quick enough, so they refer them to us, and we can see them out the door in 30 minutes of what they need. So between us, we are actually able to cater for all those in need. We don't do the entertainment per se. That's where the clubs come in. But yes, we have get together and everybody, emphasises the camaraderie, if you like.
Of course.
But it's more about the welfare side. Sometimes it can be remedial. Sometimes it can be emergency. Sometimes it can be referrals. But we tend to be the front office where people just come in and talk. We get people who are very reclusive, but they just in the sub-branch and they just want to talk to somebody who's had like experience.
Tuesday Drive.